One Art by Elizabeth Bishop. The art of losing isn't hard to master. So many things seem filled with the intent to be lost that their loss is no disaster. Lose something every day, except the fluster of lost door keys, the hour badly spent. The art of losing isn't hard to master. Then practice losing farther, losing faster, places and names and where it was you meant to travel. None of these will bring disaster. I lost 2 cities, lovely ones, and vaster, some realms I owned, 2 rivers, a continent. I missed them, but it wasn't a disaster. Even losing you, the joking voice, a gesture I love. I shan't have lied. It's evident the art of losing's not too hard to master, though it may look like, write it, like disaster. I lost 2 cities, lovely ones, and vaster, some realms I owned, 2 rivers, a continent. I missed them, but it wasn't a disaster. This resonates with me more than the rest of the poem, because I've experienced this same feeling when you can lose everything that's in sight at the time that you're looking. You know what I mean? To generalise, it's more like losing everything all in one go. As regards to, earlier on it says I lost my mother's keys. Okay, that's okay, but in my world that doesn't happen. It's all or nothing. If I lose everything, then I feel that I've lost something. If you close your eyes, you lose everything, because you can't see it. Strange. Imagine if you went blind. I think you'd lose everything at that point. Of course that happens every day. You lose small things and it means something, but it's not something I'd write about. Well, if you lose a person, you don't see them anymore, so you don't look at their face, you don't look at the way they are. They're just absent from that point. Like if a relationship finishes, the person is then absent from your life. So there is no image, there's no sound, there's no smell. It's like if you have a dog and you love it and it dies. It's no more, it's finished. But of course, the whole of life is subject to change, and you should learn to accept it if you can.
So how do you deal with loss?
There's a good example. I had a 1978 Fender Stratocaster which I had for 30 years, and I totally loved it. I loved this guitar. It was everything to me. It was all memories and from childhood, you wanted to be a guitarist and so forth. And then about 5 years ago, I discovered I didn't love it so much that I thought I loved it, and so I sold it. And now I have a new guitar, which I love now. So it replaced the old love. But I still think sometimes about the old one, but I love the new one. With poetry, or any art form, the person who creates it, the person who envisages that in the first place, they have the right to give or not to give the quantity of what they want to give. And it's not for them to explain why they called it one art. It's for you, as the reader, to interpret. I'd rather just experience it full on and feel the pain or the passion or the love or whatever, and just let it hit me. And if it makes me cry because it's too uncomfortable, then that's the achievement. You understand?
Yeah. Okay, well, tell me what this poem made you feel.
It made me feel lonely. There again, that's a transient state, you know. And if you don't accept that, and if you don't understand it, then life will be painful. But if you understand it and accept it, it's still a little bit painful, but then you know that when that goes out, that something else comes in. So it's like a little merry-go-round of things. Yeah? Art and loss. I think art is an extremely private, on one side it's extremely private, personal impression on the artist. They perceive something, that they make it into a solid thing that you can see or hear or touch, and then they share it. And the loss part of it is that they have created something which they're now giving away. So maybe they lose it, maybe they don't. I don't know. It's the interpretation of the reader or whoever perceives the art. It's not necessarily a negative thing. In fact, it's just as positive as gaining something. It has the same relativity. It's something to react to, and whichever way you do it, it doesn't really matter, because it's only in the time that you do it, and then you'll think about something else. So it moves on. Maybe sometimes little memories come back about what you lost, but the point is, the truth of the matter is, it's gone. You know, why ponder about things you can't bring back? You understand? For this, we have photographs. We can look at it, say, this is how fantastic I was when I was 12, and now I'm 65. Look at me. There's the loss. I was good looking, and now I'm not. That's the way it is. Childhood, the loss of childhood was the worst loss for me. I lost my childhood in a period of time, and I never saw it. And that was the big loss. I've tried to get it back since. I've been looking for it. Here I am today in Prague, still looking for it. I'm in the park and looking, maybe it's there somewhere. So yeah, I've spent my whole life trying to find that childhood. This is why I refuse to grow old and refuse to mature, because that's what I miss the most. To experience loss is a very, very creative point of reference, because if you don't feel this pain, how can you create? This is my question. So people have said to me over the years, you never write love songs, you never write happy songs. I can't do that, because to me happiness is not an emotion that creates. It's just something that I feel at the time. But if you break my heart badly, suddenly I open like a flower, maybe a dark flower, I don't know. But the flower opens and it gives me expression. It gives me the decision. So when I have a little pain, I pick up the guitar, pick up the camera, I write, I pick up the pencil, and suddenly it's there. The river flows, right? So to me, most of the things I've been writing since I was 14, 15. I'm now 62. I've been writing constantly through that time, and creating, and it's always been from a trigger of sadness. Sadness triggers, your mind opens, tears flow, blood pours inside, and then you write, and then you put it aside, and maybe 10 years later you pick it up and you think, I remember that feeling, and now I'm going to record it, I'm going to put it into music, and then you make the music, you make the record, you sell the record, hopefully, and then someone else listens to it and thinks, I know this feeling, I know what this is about. And it's the same when you look at a painting. You go to an art gallery and you see a painting, and maybe there's only 3 colours and a few lines, but to you, it's suddenly, it's cutting you inside, you can feel, and you think, oh my God, I understand this. Today I'm in Prague, which I don't live here, but I love it, and I look around me, and the buildings, the architecture, and to me it's like an oil painting, and I look at it, and inside I can see that little bit of childhood again that I'm looking for. I can see it running through the streets, I can see people, I can hear sounds. So this little holiday that I'm on is an expression of art. You understand? So truly I love it. Whether it hurts me or not, I still love it. So when I was younger, the first person I was listening to was Bob Dylan. I liked his poetry. I liked that type of thing, but at the same time I was listening to a lot of rock, blues music. I've always liked the blues. For me, blues is important because in those days when you didn't have the big concert halls and the arenas and this and the other, it was like storytelling. You went from one town to the other and you told stories to these people about that town. And they did this in the blues. They went from one place to another, played the little music, told the story of that the woman left them or whatever it was that made them cry. And then I discovered Leonard Cohen. And to me, Leonard Cohen tore my heart out, spat it on the floor and said, "It's yours, deal with it." And I just fell in love with the man, the word, the voice. He was absolutely in touch with his own world, and he shared it. And most of his poetry was dark. It was about loss, most of it. But to me, it just lit my life up. That someone else could feel that same pain, but also look so beautiful at the same time.
If you could get back one thing you've lost, you offer today, you can return it, what would it be?
Well, sometimes I lose direction. And I like to get that back. Still looking for that childhood. A couple of years ago I had a beautiful motorbike, 1400 Intruder, and I'd like to get that back. I really would. I miss that big style. But it's gone.
What happened to it?
Engine trouble. I don't know, I've tried to develop in my life a position not to attach myself to things, because they're transient and they will be gone. Whatever, you cannot hold on to things. You're just here for the life experience, to experience the living. That's what you're here for. Talk to people, interact with people, take in nature, travel, see things, try to understand what you're doing here. That's my opinion. Try to understand what you're doing. With the travelling community, I think it's less painful in one aspect and more painful in others, because I think they would, like myself, they would understand that you can't hold things. And this is why they travel, because they go to look for the things that they can't have. Even if it's only an experience, even if it's just sitting in the sunshine in one place is better than sitting in the sunshine in another. And it might not be true, it might be, but they need to find out, right? And I love travellers. I love the fact that they do that, because their mind is not content with what is in front of them. They know there's more, and they search for that more. And maybe they never find it, but they searched. That's the point. The creativity was that they searched, they looked. And that's the same with musicians and artists. They spend their whole life trying to translate something, to make sense of something which they felt somewhere. For no reward, but the fact that it has to be done. To them it has to be done. When I'm in prayer or meditation or thought, there's always one thing that I ask for at the end of it, every time. And that thing is not to lose my awareness of who I am, of what's going on, and my connection with spirit. This is the one thing I ask, please. So I talk to the spirits and I say, spirits, please don't break this contact with me, because without that contact there would be no me. There would be nothing. That's the most important thing in my world, is spirit contact. Apart from that, I'm okay. I thank you very much for asking me these questions and hope that I've been helpful.
Thank you.